Hey guys, welcome back. Two Brothers Off Script. I'm Jerry.
I'm Ryan.
And we have got a great topic this week. It is the week coming up to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's next Thursday. And I was thinking this week about self-reliance. The whole story of Thanksgiving, as we got taught, was some folks who didn't really know what they were getting into. I think they bought into the first multi-level marketing scheme, and they ended up in an area of the world that they didn't know, without the skills or the tools or the supplies that they needed.
Brave new world.
And they almost starved to death. And then the Native Americans came and helped them survive by showing them how to plant corn.
And then they killed them all.
And then they gave them the flu, and they all died.
Oh, yeah.
And variations of that story are told all over the country. Some more negative, some more positive than others. But basically, that's the gist of the story. It started off in friendship, and then we found about early communicable disease. And so it made me kind of think, hey, it's a really good thing as a dad to want to teach my kids how to take care of some stuff for themselves.
Right.
And so I thought back to not only our experiences with Thanksgiving growing up as kids, but this idea that there were things that our parents taught us about being self-reliant, about taking care of issues ourselves. I don't think we realized were abnormal. And then as we got older, it kind of became clear, like there were things that we knew how to do that other kids didn't know how to do.
It's clearly generational. I mean, I wasn't fixing light sockets and working on painting houses and stuff like that in middle school and elementary school and high school and everything like that, even though it's out of order. I didn't realize that I was, let's call it differently abled, I guess, because I was definitely more able-bodied than some people I know. Until later in life, when it came down to, oh yeah, like this thing is broken. And I was thinking, you know what? I know how to fix that. And it wasn't a Google thing. I didn't have to look it up. But
you just kind of got your screwdriver and your hammer and went in there and did something to it.
I mean, if you had an apartment and you broke something, you had to fix it before you left that apartment, so you didn't have the landlord taking your deposit money away, and you probably needed that money. So being able to fix the damage you've created yourself is a way of ensuring that you'll still have an option later in life to, maybe rent another place and not get banned from, or get a really bad reference or something like that from your previous landlord. But yeah, I mean, like we worked on our cars with our dad. We laid brick and rock and stuff like
rock
that.
Baskets
with our
roofing tiles. Sheetrock, tile floors,
a lot of various.
I don't think we were ever like I don't look at the experience that I have. I have a friend who does construction, and he's a couple of friends who do construction. They're awesome. They're incredibly talented. They have a craft and a trade, and they've done it professionally, and they know stuff about building and framing and woodworking that I'll never know. Mm-hmm. I don't have that desire. But when it comes to like, hey, the other, I had a tabletop break, a glass tabletop. The wind umbrella got left open, and wind took it and snapped the tempered glass and made a big mess. And I went and got some boards from the store and measured it all out and screwed it all together, and it fit, and it was right, and stained it and coated it and put it back together. And now I have a very cool looking wood tabletop for my patio, instead of having to throw away a $300, patio table.
Right. And, I mean, a fix is almost always cheaper than getting a brand new thing. Or you've got the cost of a service person. I had to fix my heater a few weeks ago because it's getting colder out here. As you can tell, we're not in t-shirts.
We're still in the garage,
but
it's quite a bit colder outside the door.
Yeah, so I mean, it started to get heated. We were having some issues with it's getting colder inside. It's time to turn off the air conditioner, and the heater doesn't work. And it's like the diagnostic on the machine tells me it's this part, and I look up the part, and I spend the money, and I get the part, and I put it in myself, and it works now. So It was a really simple fix, and a technician would have cost me $200 to come out, and then another 15% markup or more on the part itself. The part was $40, and it cost me all of 30 minutes of labor to fix it. So I saved myself a huge amount of money there, and like we replaced our floor a few months ago, and we did all the demo ourselves, but we had the professionals install the product so that we would have a good finished product. Like, don't just jump into something that you're stuck with permanently. But
yeah, it's not. I'm not advocating. And again, this is from a perspective of someone. When I think about being a parent on purpose, I say that in several of these videos, right? That I want to be a parent on purpose. I want to have intention behind the things that I do with my kids. And so when I tell my girls, hey, we're going to go take this, we just took apart an old computer printer, and we were taking it apart, and there was a spool in there. It's got little tiny teeth on it that grabs the paper. Doesn't damage it, but feeds the paper in. Well, my kids just watched the old 1990s or early 2000s Dennis the Menace, and there's a scene right at the end where Dennis is at his mom's office building, and this mean boss comes in and says, oh, you don't know what button to push. She's going to run the printer. He says, can I please push the button? She says, no. Can I please push the button? She says, no. You don't know what to do. It's this button. He slaps the print button. Her long flowing scarf gets sucked into the print machine, and the copier produces 50 pages of her face getting smashed into the glass, and it's all kinds of funny faces. And so we're sitting there, we're having this conversation, and I said, do you remember that piece we took out of the printer with those little teeth on it? Well, that's what caught on her scarf and pulled her in. And the girls were like, oh yeah, it turns like this, and that hooked up her scarf. It's these little intentional efforts to teach your children about the world that I feel like I have now. Right. And I believe in so fervently that there's a way to teach your kids to be self-reliant. I just sewed. Mine wasn't as cool as your furnace story. I got a sewing kit this week. Right. And I had a tear in my vest for work, and I sewed up the tear, and I had a tear in my along the edge of the cargo shorts that I have on the edge of the pocket, and I got a patch and a sewing kit from Walmart. It cost $2.30, I think, for the two pieces, and I sewed it up, and I spent 20 minutes sitting there watching television with my wife one evening, and I'm sewing it up, and the kids are seeing me do that. I didn't go buy a $30 pair of shorts. Right. I fixed what I had. And yes, you can buy new, but like you said, it's almost always cheaper to fix it yourself. Yeah. And even if you screw it up, you're not out that much money in the effort, and maybe you'll learn something in the process.
Yeah, I mean, everything is out there now. If the only thing you can do is go to WebMD and proclaim yourself to have some sort of disease that's going to take you out within a 24-hour period or something like that, I'm sorry, you're not very self-reliant. You should go to the ER and spend all your money on cures for things you don't have, but you can Google anything nowadays and find someone else's account or
a video even.
Issue, especially with videos. I mean, if the thing that you have has a model number on it, that's your first start. You look up the model number, and if it has broken down in the past, somebody on there is going to post, this thing broke on me 6 months after I bought it, and you'll say, oh wow, it's like the phone I just had, LG G4. I was super excited about it. I was like, man, this is like leaps and bounds above the Galaxy S4, and it's even only a generation or two newer, but it's still huge, big screen, everything's great. And I was playing a pointless game, some sort of falling balls game or whatever, and I thought, this is a game, it's got good reviews, fine. I'll just download it because it's on the recommended list. And it turned out to be this stupid thing where the balls basically move around on the screen when you move the screen. So I was like, all right, that's dumb. And then I see a setting where it says you can crank this thing up to 20 million balls or whatever it was. And I did that, and the screen kind of froze. Like, the balls were falling, but they were falling so slow because it was having trouble rendering every little
Oh, the graphics processor.
So basically it overheated the phone.
Are you serious?
And it caused it to...
an app killed your phone?
An app, a free game app that was crap. Killed my phone. Literally overheated it. And it exposed an issue that I found that 100,000 other people had. There was a whole, like, whatever the Act Now page is, where you got to sign a petition or something like that to get the company to fix the problem. And LG has acknowledged this thing. It's called a boot loop. And what happens is it tells the processor that the phone is overheating, shut off. The phone is overheating, shut off. And every once in a while, it starts at the LG symbol, stays there. And then the only way to fix it is actually you got to put your phone in the freezer for like 25 minutes to bring the temp down, and then you can turn it on. But I ended up...
You can't just pull the battery out?
No, it's a boot loop. So in the boot up process, it actually stops working.
But if you take the battery out, will it still overheat?
No, it's not overheating. It's telling itself that it's overheating. That's the problem. Even though the phone's on for 30 seconds, it just tells it that it's overheating, and it never actually starts up Android. So anyways, I bought this phone. It was used. I spent like $150 on it. I was super excited about it. It was a huge upgrade for me. And then it breaks, and so now I'm using my old phone, and my work gave me an iPhone. So it's like I've got an iPhone. So
when are you getting that?
I've got it. I already have it.
Why aren't we shooting on that?
Because it's not actually easier to move files from an Apple to that, and Android is more user-friendly.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So we're shooting on my old S4, the one we started this show with.
Which, by the way, we
3.
still have not spent a single dollar. I think we're probably 30 shows in now, between What's Up and Two Brothers Off Script.
Right.
And this is all free.
We spent money,
we're never going to take, I shouldn't say never. We haven't taken a picture of what the inside of the studio looks, the view we see of you, but it's put together.
We're in a garage.
And this is the thing about this topic. Like, there are so many people who say, I'm going to move out of my apartment. And you move in behind these people. If you've moved into somebody who's rented a house, or you move into an apartment, and the walls are full of holes and nails and screws that have been painted over, and or the person has like taken the wall patch and just gone over the top of the nail. Like they didn't even hit the nail in first, and then patch over. It's just a bump.
Yeah.
And so you see these people who choose not to learn how to become self-reliant, even in that basic way. And in this case,
that could very well be the landlord.
A lot of people have been more successful on YouTube than us, no doubt. But in this case, we've managed to do something, to create something, for just the sheer fun of having that experience of doing it.
Right.
And we did it with, bed sheets and bungee cords and table lights, and that's not an exaggeration. This is not like MacGyver and one paperclip and some chewing gum. I mean, we really have done this together with a really small amount of stuff. Yeah. And I'm so passionate about this idea of teaching my children that they can solve some of these problems.
Well, you got to try first, and that's what people don't do. If you don't do it in the first place, at least try to. You don't learn from your mistakes, and then when you learn from your mistakes, you get better. And when you get better at something, then eventually you're better at other things, because you realize the principle of the whole process is I had to try it, I had to be self-reliant, and I had to do it myself at least once, so that it's the same thing of get up and do it. You just have to make the effort instead of just waiting for it to be handed to you. It's like there's so many people out there right now who are upset about the election and everything like that, and their method of self-reliance is to tell everybody else that they're wrong and that they need to do it for them. They need to fix it for them, but that the message doesn't come across. They're just angry people who aren't going to make a difference.
I heard a guy the other day said, if you want to win the next election, stop rioting in the street and burning down businesses of people who haven't hurt you.
Right. Well, if I'm going to vote for somebody, I'm not going to vote for a Democrat who inspires rioting, even though Everybody wants to say that that's the.
I think
the
there's
same
still.
thing
I think there's still individual choices. Like I don't think that.
Well, 20,
and this is just
25
me.
out of
Like,
75 people voted, and then the rest of them are just angry.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, like, and this was not a political show in this particular case, but, like, I don't think that, in general, unless the leader of an organization, whoever that is, says, I want my people to go commit violence. I want my people to go do this. I want my people to go commit this crime. The people are responsible for their actions, right? Mm-hmm. Like, to say, well, the leader is so inspirational and motivational that this herd of people have followed, like lemmings, have followed them to their certain doom. And the people who are making these choices bear no responsibility for their actions on their own.
Right, but it's not just the words that they chose that inspired these people. It's also how, I guess, how blind a lot of people are to the bigger picture when it comes to things like this. Like, it's not, you're not going to get rid of the Electoral College. So how are you going to fix this problem? Are you just going to be angry and loud? Or you're not going to motivate me to go and say, well, you know what? I changed my mind. I didn't vote for the guy. Switch it back the other way. Like, it's done. It's over and done. So what they need to do to be self-reliant and fix this problem, even though it hasn't even happened yet, is work towards the next election year.
Right.
You know, and you can't do that by being disruptive. Like, there's a peaceful protest method where, you know, they sit on a tree and say, don't cut down the tree, while they cut down every other tree in the forest around them. And then there's the other method where I'm going to go out and be proactive and run for city office and work my way up. And I want to see a difference in my community, and I can affect what's going on in my neighborhood that will, you know, determine policy so that the president can't go insane and take out my neighborhood by controlling certain people. You know, we're all stuck with the local government more than the national government. The federal government only has like so much say.
Minimal impact. I mean, certainly in some ways. I guess I just look at it like you can be inspired by a conversation. I have lots of conversations with people where we talk about a policy issue, and we don't talk about the people. We just talk about the idea. Mm-hmm. And in that conversation, we find common ground. In that conversation, we find a solution, as long as we keep the personalities out of the conversation. So I agree with you. I think people who are upset right now need to be working towards the next election. But I think it's wrong to say that it's civil disobedience to be throwing bricks through windows and smashing cars and lighting things on fire. The idea of civil disobedience was peaceful. Mm-hmm. It didn't involve destroying other people's property. Civil means peaceful. It doesn't mean tearing stuff up. So, I wanted to ask you, so in my mind, to be self-reliant, you need a couple of things. So you have to have an idea or a willingness to research how to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. You have to have some tools, right? Even if it's just your own hands in some situations.
Yeah, I mean, if you're calling the tool is accessible no matter what. If you have money to throw away at a problem, you can go rent a tool, you can go buy a pawn shop.
I'm just saying you've got to, like in most of these situations, you've got to know what the tool is that you need, right? Or how to use it.
Start with the research.
And then I think that the last thing you got to have is you got to have parts, right? Now parts, sure, like because the reason I back off a little bit from the idea of like I'm going to go spend a bunch of money on it in general is because I feel like part of being self-reliant can be you've got a colch pile. Mm-hmm. Something our dad used to say it all the time. I got a colch pile. I got a box full of odds and ends, mm-hmm. and it's not crazy excessive. We're not talking hoarding. We're not talking like mountains and mountains of stuff.
It's the doorknob.
But it's a doorknob. It's an old light switch cover. It's
a pile of used screws.
My screws. I've got screws. I swear these screws have probably been in every wall in like all of the states that I've ever lived in. Because I put the screw in the wall, and when I move out, I take the same screw out of the wall, put it back in my colch pile box, throw my wall putty up there, and then slap some paint on it. That screw doesn't stay in the house when I leave. It goes in my box, and that box goes with me in the moving truck.
I have a lot of screws. I should probably get rid of some of them. But
and that's just the way it is. I'm not going to waste stuff.
I made a nail punch today.
A nail punch, okay.
Right. So I was cutting some trim to go in front of the sliding glass door.
Okay.
And it's just a piece of quarter round trim, cut it to size, and then, okay, it fits, I'm going to secure it. So I take my used nail gun and I go out there and I punch some nails in. Well, I must have hit something hard. Maybe I hit another nail, maybe I hit the plastic of the door. I don't know what it was, but it actually rebounded a little bit. So the nail head didn't go fully flush, so it's going to stick up. It's very, very minor. It's at the very edge. It's not going to matter as much, but if, you touch it, maybe you scratch your finger or something like that. So I tried to think of how I'm going to fix this. I took a hammer and I tried to knock on it, and I noticed I was dinging the wall a little bit, so I said, all right, I'll back off. I need to extend my reach here. Okay, nail punch. What's a nail punch? How do I get one? All right, I don't have anything like that. Can I use a drill head? Can I use another nail? Can I use all this other stuff? And I thought, what I got a pile of IKEA, Allen wrenches.
Oh, yeah.
Every IKEA piece of furniture you get comes with an Allen wrench,
sure.
Right? So what you do is you cut a head off of the Allen wrench, the L part, because you don't want to change the angle, so you don't want to hit the wrong thing. You need to cut that square. I cut that off with a hacksaw.
Okay.
All right? And then I took a drill. Now, if you're a homeowner, you probably have a drill. Electric, cordless, doesn't matter. You put the cut in to the chuck, and then if you got a nail file, it's going to take like a prison break. It's going to take a lot of years before you get through that. So preferably you have something heavier. You could take sanding paper. You could take like a file, heavy metal file, something like that. And I actually used a grinding disc, and I took it in the drill and I just ran it back and forth at high speed a bunch of times. So I basically,
sanded it down.
I sanded it down nice and round, and then it was kind of blue and hot. So I ran it into some water, tempered it a little bit, and I made myself a little nail punch. I went and knocked in the little nail there, and
you probably spent an hour.
I spent all of 10 minutes solving a problem because I had previous experience solving problems.
But what I'm saying, like that, so in maintenance, it's manpower, materials, right, and knowledge basically that solves problems.
Yeah.
But I think for somebody trying to be self-reliant, you've got to have kind of a decision that you're going to go down this road, because if I'm going to save a screw or a IKEA Allen wrench, and put it in a bucket and put it in my garage.
5 millimeters. No.
Okay, it's not much, but it takes a little bit of forethought to say we're going to go down
the trash right away.
And it also takes a little bit of sanity to not stockpile so much garbage and junk that your house becomes a treasure trove of rats and infectious diseases.
If it's broken and you're not going to fix it, throw it away. Or burn it.
Yeah.
Or
take it apart.
I salvage very little, but I salvaged some neat looking drawer pulls from a couple of drawers that I had gotten because I was going to try and make like a little box with drawers in it, and I didn't end up doing the project, so I blasted the doors apart, threw them in your fire, and took all the metal hardware.
My fire's fantastic for getting rid of stuff
stuff evidence. So I don't know how this applies, but it's what I'm thinking of right now. And even though I didn't like the guy, I liked some of his principles. An old boss told me you have to have 3 things. Now it's loose metaphor here, but use it at your will. Attendance is the first thing you have to have. That means you're going to show up to the job and you're going to attempt. Okay, so let's call it that. You're going to attempt to do the thing by being there. The second part is ability. If you have no previous experience, you have to get some experience, and that's trial and error, or just watch as many YouTube videos as possible. Make your searches as vague as possible. How fix fridge, and you'll see 1,000 videos. They're all the same. They just have a different brand name.
Yep.
And then you go to the process of figuring out where the screws are, or what if you're going to take things apart, put it back together again. And the third part is attitude. All right? So you have to try and have a good attitude during this thing. If you get frustrated, it's okay, I'm frustrated right now. Maybe I need to take a break, watch a couple more YouTubes, funny cat video, back to the YouTubes, figure out what's going on, and then try again. So you've got to show up to the job. You got to attempt to do the job. And if you don't know how, you got to try and learn. And then that will teach you the next time that you have that issue. You know, every single thing I've ever fixed in my life that somebody wasn't, like I'm very much a watcher. Like I like to see someone do it, and then I do it myself and repeat the process. And once I've done it a couple times, then I can say, I've got it. I'm going to try my own way next time. And it just keeps going. And I build up this little reservoir of knowledge here that I can apply in different ways. So that's
how you do it.
That's pretty much my method of self-reliance.
I think I'm advocating a course where we try. I'm advocating a course as a parent where I try to teach my children and try to demonstrate that as a principle and as a value. And I know we just have a few minutes left here on our timer, but I wanted to kind of turn. It's Thanksgiving. And we're not going to do, I don't think, a whole episode on Thanksgiving this week. I don't think we're going to have time. But for me, I kind of view Thanksgiving as the holiday that I always remember that was the family holiday. And I don't mean like the family holiday in terms of, the immediate family. I mean the family holiday where it was the extended family, and it was this big event, and it was always travel involved, and those were very happy times for me as a kid. I don't think that in all of that experience that I remembered that, there was a political conversation at the table where people disagreed with each other.
Oh, it's happened.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying that I heard on the radio, oh, well, you should try to talk to so-and-so about how, this is gone and that's gone because the election's been so contentious. And so people are like having anxiety about, well, we're going to go into this dinner table conversation and everybody's going to want to have a fight about the election or principles or values or whatever it is. And I almost think, like as a child now, when I look back on that, I don't think about that people may have argued or even that in the car my brothers and I fought. I remember that in the car my brothers and I drew pictures together and made projects together. And we saw the same sights on these trips. And I remember that we had the family all together in one place at one time. And even though that was only one time in a whole year, and I don't think it was even every year when we were growing up.
No.
I think it was pretty consistent, but I don't think it was every year. And I think that that's the message that I want to try to figure out a way at some point to pass on to my children, is the idea that you can have this extended value of family that was so special to me now, despite the fights and the arguments, and I'm sure all the things that happened, right? The burned desserts and the missed opportunities and the wrong turns and the long drives and the tiredness and the bathrooms on the side of the road and all that. I still remember that as some of the happiest times of my entire childhood. Things that I look back and value. So that's how I see Thanksgiving, nostalgically. How about you?
It's kind of hard to, I don't know, my perspective on it is always in the moment, I think. I'm happy to be there, but I'm kind of jealous usually because it's like, well, I didn't get to spend enough time, doing this one thing, or I didn't get enough of the pie or something like that. Like, I'm always like, oh, I was going to get a second serving of stuffing, and then I get done with the stuffing, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back and get the pie now, and
the pie's all
gone, and I'm like, man, all that's left is pecan. And I'm like, I like
pecan is the best.
But I like pecan, but I was really hoping for that homemade pumpkin pie with the whipped cream on top. It's like, but I didn't get it that year, and I felt bad about that, jealous of whoever got the last piece. But, if I had, approached it slightly differently, then, I would have gotten up earlier instead of going back. The stuffing would have been there anyways, but I really wanted that, and I wasn't focused on the thing that I thought I also would get. I was just expecting it, in a sense, to get what I wanted. And I just, made the wrong choice that time. So,
well, what do you think you want to pass on to your son about Thanksgiving? What do you like? Obviously,
honestly,
right now he's too young to know. But what do you think you want him to feel?
I view holidays now as like there's going to be a lot. Every single holiday that I'm ever going to have for the rest of my life, I'm going to try in any way, shape, or form to spend it with extended family. You know, if it's just grandparents, 1 year I'm in Texas, or 1 year I'm up here, or something like that. Like obviously, when you deal with cost and everything like that, it's really hard to get so many people together. When we were all in the same place, it made it easy.
Sure.
Especially not driving and everything like that, not having to do the dishes afterwards is always nice too. But you know, you try and coordinate with people and get it all in the same place. And I think with society now, you know, a lot more people are going to be like, you know, it's, you know, friends over family, and
it's hard.
So I think I'll just, for that one, I'm going to play it by ear, really, because I can't tell him, you know, like maybe he's going to hate me in 25 years. I don't know. I doubt it, but, you know, I'll be as nice as I can. But, I mean, he's kind of a punk now. He's 2. You know, he doesn't have a job. He doesn't clean up after himself. And poops his pants. And
on that high note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Off Script. I'm Jerry.
I'm Ryan.
And
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.